Good afternoon or morning. This is Miss Sulcer from Brewer Middle School. I was just wanting to go over with you the 8th grade fall semester exam review for math. I have some questions on here. I know that I sent it in a Google form earlier this last week, and it's also found on your Canvas page under modules for math resources as well. But I'm going over each one of the 20 questions that are on that review with you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, number 1, the graph of a linear function is shown on the coordinate grid. What is the y-intercept of the graph? So we're looking for the y-intercept. All right, y-intercept, what I remember with y-intercept is there's several things. With y-intercept, it's when x is 0. This is my x in an ordered pair. When x is 0, it's whatever y's answer is. So it's right here. Whatever y equals, this is your y-intercept right here. And this one quick way to look for it is wherever it crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is the one that goes up and down, and they usually have it labeled with a y. So right here, they give us an ordered pair. When x is 0, y is -3. So our answer to that one, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is going to be -3. Okay. All right, so we'll go to the next. Okay, maybe it'll let me do this. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, it didn't delete it all. Okay. All right, there we go. I figured it out. All right. For number 2, the table below lists several points that lie on the same line. What is the y-intercept of this line? So again, the y-intercept is what what y equals when x is 0. They're trying to trick us right here because they have 2 zeros. So we want to know the y-intercept. The y-intercept, I shorten it by int. The y-intercept is whatever y equals when x is 0. When x is 0. When the x is 0. So if I look at this table, we have x is a 0 right here. So the answer to the y is a -1. So our y-intercept is going to be -1. Okay, next question. All right. The table below shows a linear relationship between x and y. Which of the following is the rate of change and the y-intercept? Okay, rate of change is another way of saying slope. So we're looking for the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so to find slope, I like to remember it as change of whatever y is over the change of x. Change of y over change of x. So then I come over here and find 2 x's, 2 y's. So right here, I'm going to look at these 2 points here for my y, these 2 points here for my x. So it goes from 378 as my first y minus 252. That's going to be how much y changed. Then I put that over whatever my x changed. Well, x went from 6 to 9. And you see how 378 and 6, they are paired together on this table. I've got to keep my x's and y's paired and ordered the same way as they are together on the table. So like the 6 goes with 378 over 6. 252 is paired with the 9, so 252 goes over the 9. All right, and then I work that problem out. So 378 minus 252. So 378 minus 252 is 126. So I get 126 for the top of how much the y changed. And then 6 minus 9 is -3. To figure out what the y-intercept of that, or what the rate of change from that is, I've got to simplify. 126 divided by a -3 equals a -42. So the slope equals -42. It's what that is simplified. Knowing that, that eliminates the bottom answer as a choice. That eliminates the very bottom one. So it eliminates these bottom two as answer choices. So all I have left now is to determine the y-intercept. Okay, to find the y-intercept, there's a few ways I can go about doing it. I'm going to use my slope-intercept formula first. So y equals, and I know what my slope is, negative 42 times x. What we're trying to figure out is if we need to add or subtract something in the back right here. I'm going to take one of the numbers that I do have and I do know. So let's say I'm going to use the 9. I'm going to put 9. I'm decided I'm going to use this one right here to check it and find what I'm going to go. So I'll put 9 in the spot for x. So I'm going to put 9 here, so negative 42. 9 is what I'm using for my x, so times 9. That looks like an A. It's supposed to be 9. And then I work that out, negative 42 times 9. I get negative 378. So I get that it's negative 378. We don't want it to equal that, though. We want it to equal what we have the y to be, which is a positive 252. So I have to think. There's got to be something I have to add to this to make that work out. And I have two answer choices. It's not going to be 0, because if I add 0 to a negative 378, it is not going to give me positive 252. So I could check to see if it worked out if I do the 630. And then I'm going to take that and type that in my calculator. Negative 378 plus 630. And when I do, I see that it does equal the 252 I'm looking for. So that lets me know this is the answer choice. That's the correct answer. Okay, we're moving on to the next question. Oh, wait, I meant the whole screen. Oops, there we go. So we're moving on to the next question. Number 4, what is the slope and y-intercept of the graph below? So we're looking for both the slope and the y-intercept. Y-intercept's usually the quicker one to find because, again, it's wherever the line that they have crosses this y-axis. So the y-intercept, it actually crosses down here. They were trying to trick us by giving us this dot here with 2 and 0. That's not the y-intercept. That's actually what's called an x-intercept because it's where it crosses the x-axis. Y-intercept is where it intersects or crosses the y-axis, which it crosses it at negative 4. So that means our y-intercept is negative 4. So that eliminates this answer choice, and it eliminates this answer choice. So it's either the top one or the bottom one here. Now, I could go ahead and work out the slope where I find the change in y and put it over the change in x, or if anybody remembers that old kind of creepy video that we showed in 7th grade math here at Brewer, and I showed it to some of the tutoring sessions also. It's about Slope Dude. I think I even have it on the math resources page, or I did earlier this year. So Slope Dude is where he is going puff, puff, positive, all the way up the mountain. And then when he gets to the mountain, to the top of the mountain, this skier, who is Slope Dude, he then goes down, 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 down. And puff, puff, positive means those are that's a positive slope. He's having to really get all the way up there. This is nice and fun to slide down as a skier. So he says, nice, negative, nice, negative. So that's the negative. Then he gets to this one point where he says, oh, no, it's just flat land. Well, flat land, this is 0 fun because you have to do a lot of work also to move your skis on a flat piece of land. It's fun when you get to go down. And so this is 0 fun. It's not making him work too hard, but it's not going to be fun like the negative. And then the last one is when it goes straight up and down. That's undefined. So now knowing this information about positive slope, negative slope, if I look at my line, it is going in the direction from left to right. It's going in the same direction as the positive slope. So I know this is a positive slope, and I have slope as a positive 2 or negative 2. So before even doing the math work, I know that this has got to be it because this is eliminating. It cannot be a negative slope. Okay. So that's number 4. We're going to move on to the next question. Number 5, the equation 4x equals x minus 6 is modeled below. What is the value of x makes the equation true? All right, so we've done some modeling last year, I remember in 7th grade. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So if I get rid of, I have one x I can take off of each side. But then I have 3 x's remaining and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. Well, I need to split them up. I need to split them up based on the number of groups I have. I want to know what 1x is. So I have 3 x's. I'm going to split this up into 3 groups. So I have one group here, one group here, one group here. So that means in each x is equivalent to 2 negatives or -2. If I use this equation here, like you're going to need to in algebra next year, 4x equals x minus 6. I draw my line under my equal sign. I need to move all of my x's to one side or get rid of, so I'm going to say minus x here to get rid of that one, minus x to get rid of this one, or get one over here, because whatever I do to one side, I need to do the other. That gives me then 3 x's, because 4 x's minus an x gives us 3 x's, equals, this minus sign is taking value of what kind of 6 that is. That's a -6 now, because a minus subtracting 6 and a -6 have the same actions on a number line. Now I have side by side. I'm going to do the opposite to undo this. So I'm going to divide by 3 since they were multiplying by 3. And whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So -6 divided by 3, same thing you'll get in the picture that we just did, x equals -2. Okay, moving on along. Number 6, what is the value of z that makes the equation 6z minus 12 equal 2 times z plus 60 true? Okay, you could do one thing since you're getting to use a calculator this year and take the number and plug it into the z and see if it works. So that'd be like 6 times 18 and then find what that equals minus 12 and find out. And then take 2 times 18 and add 60 and see if you get the same answer on both sides. If you don't, then that's not going to work out. Or you could do what we just did then, where we draw our line and we'll move things around. Like I'm going to put all my whole numbers on one side and all my z's on the other side. So I want to move all my z's to this side since this side has more z's. And I want to move all my whole numbers to this side since it has more. So let's see. I'm going to get rid of this 2z on this side. And whatever I do to one side, I've got to do the other. So that gets rid of that. Then 6z minus 2z is 4z. That sounds fun. Okay, so I've got my z's now. I want to move my whole numbers too. So this is a minus 12, so to undo that, I need to put plus 12. And whenever I do to one side, I'm going to do the other. So this one, I'm going to put plus 12 over here. That cancels this one out, where I have nothing here but 4z now on this side. Got all my z's on one side. And then 60 plus 12 is 72. So then I have all my whole numbers on the other. Side by side means multiply, so I need to undo a multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 4. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So my answer is going to be whatever 72 divided by 4 is. So 72 divided by 4 in my calculator, I get 18, which is the first answer choice available. All right, we'll move on to the next question. Number 7, Dylan started with 30 baseball cards and gave away X cards. Sebastian started with 40 baseball cards and gave away twice as many cards as Dylan. How many cards did Dylan give away if they had the same number of cards left? All right, so this is taking what we just had with the equations. You're having two equations that are both equal to each other. So 30 baseball cards and gave away that X cards. Gave away, that's a subtraction. So he took away some. So for Dylan, it would be 30. He had 30 cards, and he took away a value of X. We don't know how many. Then we've got Sebastian started with 40 baseball cards and gave away, again, we're subtracting, twice as much. Ooh, twice as many. That would make that a 2X if he gave away twice as much as Dylan did. In the end, they're going to have the same number of cards. So Sebastian is equal in the end. So he had 40, and we're taking away double. So 2X, 2 times as many as Dylan did. These two are going to be equal, and we're trying to figure out which of these answer choices would fit as X. So you could take your answer choice and plug it in for X on both until you find the one where they're both equal. Or we could do what we were just doing, where I draw my line and I'm moving my X's all to one side and all my whole numbers to the other side. So I'm going to move this one, plus 2X, plus 2X. I'm moving all my X's over here. I like to do that. And then I'm going to move all my whole numbers to the other side. So that's a whole 30. So I need a minus 30. That gets rid of this one. But whatever, do to one side, I'm going to do the other. So minus 30. And that zeroed this one out. So I need to work that out. A negative X or a minus X plus 2X, that's just X. They're different symbols, different signs, and their difference is going to be 1X. And that will equal whatever 40 minus 30 is, which is 10. So the answer is 10. Oops, I clicked on. All right, let me erase and we'll go to number 8. Number 8, which situation represents a proportional relationship? Okay, in order to be proportional, you have to be going up at the same rate. And whenever you have 0x of something, the answer to y is also going to be 0 in order to be proportional. So like in the first option here, the cost of purchasing a basket of apples is $1.99 per pound plus $7 for the basket. Well, if you bought 0 pounds of apples, you still have $7 cost for the basket. So that's not going to work out. Down here, the cost of purchasing pizzas is $9 per pizza plus $5 for delivery. So even if it doesn't matter how many pizzas you order, for this one, you're still going to have a delivery fee. That would be like your y-intercept. So this one is not going to be proportional. Actually, this one is proportional because if you don't order any pizzas, you don't have a delivery fee either. So this one's a good answer. Option 2, the cost of purchasing cans of soup is $1.29 per can with a coupon for $1 off the total cost. Okay, this one here, you can buy 0 cans and you won't use the coupon. This is actually the best answer choice. This one's actually the best answer choice because you're not going to use the coupon. So 0 cans of soup, you're going to spend $0. 1 can of soup, you would spend 29 cents. So this one's our correct best answer. And then the last one, the cost of purchasing a basket of apples. This is the exact same option here. So option 2 is the best choice, but I could argue and say how 3 would too, because if you're not ordering any pizzas, you wouldn't have a delivery fee either. All right. This to me is one of the hardest questions on the exam review. And since it's on here, I'm pretty sure there's going to be one like this on the semester exam because they wouldn't have put it on here if otherwise. Triangle FGH and triangle HJK are similar right triangles. Which proportion can be used to show that the slope of FH is equal to the slope of HK? All right. So on this one, we're looking at FH and seeing that it is similar to HK. This is bringing in what you did last year over similar figures and the proportion that's set up with them, and then finding their slopes, which is the change in y's over the change in x. It's taking that information about the change in y over the change in x and figuring those out. So right here, I'm going to just remind myself the top's supposed to be y, the bottoms are supposed to be x. Tops are supposed to be y, bottoms are supposed to be x. Just so I can kind of see them next to some of these. Tops are supposed to be y, bottoms are supposed to be x. Tops are supposed to be y, bottom's supposed to be x. And then I'm going to go through and actually check each one of these and see what I find each of these questions. Is it my x or my y that they have available? So first option, option 1, it says 8 minus 4. Oh, hold on, I need to put my laptop on charger. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have 8 minus 4. So for 8 minus 4, let's see, this is supposed to be y. So if I look at my y and I find 8, 8. Oh, 8, that's the point for the f up here. So this one's good. That is a y. It's the y for our f. So they have this one. This is supposed to represent the FH slope. This is supposed to represent FH slope. So it should have 8 and then 4 for the second number. And then the x's would be, let's see, this x is a -4. They have that paired correctly for the f point. And then the movement to the h point, h should have an x of -2. They have that. So they have the pairs that we need there. So this one so far looks good. Then I come over here to check. This is for the FH, so that means this has got to be HK. Well, the ordered pair for H was -4 for the Y, -2 for the X. That's what they have 4. Oh, it's not -4, it's +4. Excuse me, my fault. They do have 4 and they do have the -2. So that one's set up good. Then if I look at the K, because that's the one that we didn't know yet. We haven't seen that one yet. K, they have K at +3 for your X and -6 for Y. So the Y is supposed to be -6, the X is supposed to be 3. This looks good. So far, this entire thing looks good. Let's go check the next one. -4 over 8. So -4 is supposed to be your Y. So on my Y, if I find -4, -4 is down here. There's nothing there. There's nothing at all related to that -4. So that already eliminates this. That has nothing to do with anything on these two triangles. So now I'm going to move over here to the bottom, option 3. 4, okay. So +4 on my y-axis should be lined up with -2. They have 4 with a -4. If I look here, my 4, my dot, with the y of 4, should line up with the x of -2. That's not what they have. They have a -4. So that one eliminates that one. Then over here, same thing. They have the 4 again with a -4, which we just saw that, and we saw that that's not going to work. So that leaves only one answer choice. It would be option 1. So option 1. Okay, question 10. The value of y varies directly with x. When y equals 25, x equals 3/4. What is the value of y when x is 4 7/8? All right, so on this one, this is another proportion setup. When they're talking about the value varies directly, this is another way of saying proportion. So I'm going to set it up just like we did last time with the y's and the x's. So my y is on top, x is on bottom. The y they give us is 25. When y equals 25, x equals 3/4. Well, what is the value of y when x is 4 7/8? So this is x. So I'm going to put 4 7/8 down here, 4 7/8. We want to know what that would be, for x. We don't know, for y, we don't know what y would be. So that's the unknown. This is what we're trying to find. This is bringing back something y'all did last year where you had to multiply those across from one another and then divide by the one remaining. On this one thing that I do like to do is if you can convert, because you've got calculators this year, you can convert the fractions into decimals. So 3/4 is the same thing as 3 divided by 4, which comes out to be 0.75. And then over here we have 4 7/8. Well, I know it's a whole number 4, so I'm going to keep my whole number 4 in front and then do 7 divided by 8 to figure out what my 7/8 would be. So 7 divided by 8, and I get 0.875. So knowing that, I'm going to multiply 4.875, this number, times 25. And then when I'm done with that, then I'm going to divide it by 0.75. Okay, so 4.875 times 25 divided by 0.75, and I get the answer of 162.5. Which, if I look at my answer choices, there's only one that was going to work, and one half is the same thing as 50 cents or 0.5, so this one is going to match, and that's my correct answer on number 10. Number 11, which list shows the numbers below in order from least to greatest, so smallest to biggest? Now, when you're doing this, one of the things that I've always said in the past is just convert them all into the same type of number. So you want them all to be the same type of number. So I want my fractions, my decimals, and my percents to all be the same thing. I personally am a decimal person. I like to change them all to decimals. So to change a percent to a decimal, I move it over 2 place values. So 0.12. So this is 0.12. Then 1/8, that's 1 divided by 8. So 1 divided by 8, I get 0.125. So 0.125. And then 128 divided by 1,000. 128 divided by 1,000 is 0.128. 0.128. Knowing this, I can figure out which one's the smallest because they want me to put these in order from least to greatest. So little to big. Pequito to grande. Okay. So the smallest one that I have is 12. That'd be like 12 cents. This one's got some extra behind it. This one has extra behind it. So 12% should be the first one listed. If I look at option 1, that's not what's listed first. Look at option 2, that is what's listed first. Option 3, nope. Option 4, nope. So that's only leaving one answer choice. 1/8 would be the next one to go because it's 125, then 128, and then 0.13. So the correct answer is option 2. Number 12, which table shows a proportional relationship between X and Y? In order to be proportional, X and Y, wherever an X is 0, Y has got to be 0 too in order to be proportional. And there's only one of these tables that shows that, and that's option 3, right here. When X is 0, Y is 0. They have some zeros throughout here, but they don't have both X and Y 0 together. And that's what you're looking for in being proportional. When X is 0, Y is 0, they go through that origin. So on that coordinate grid, when it's proportional, it goes right through the origin where the X and the Y axis intersect one another. $13. A car salesman makes $250 a month plus 15% of the total value of all the cars he sells. If X represents the total value of the cars he sells in a month, which equation represents his earnings, Y, in the last month? All right, so he makes $250 a month plus something. So this right here is what would be known as my Y-intercept. Plus means I'm going to add it to whatever this 15% of the total is. I used to say of like that a lot because this is a way of saying I got to multiply something somewhere. Okay, 15. You don't multiply percentages this way. Instead, you change them to decimals and you multiply them. We don't know what the total price is, so that's our X. So it's going to be 0.15 times X. So 0.15 times X. That tells you how much money they're getting on what's called commission. Car salesmen do actually get paid based on the percentage of their total sales. Okay, So he's getting 15% for he's getting 15 cents for every dollar that's sold. Now cars are way more than $1. So he's getting 15 cents for every dollar of that car. Plus, he also makes the $250 a month. So this plus $250 a month added onto it is how much they are going to get. So this situation matches answer choice Y. Or Y equals 250 plus 0.15x. This equals the same thing. So this would be our correct answer. $14. The diameter of a grain of sand is approximately 0.0024 inches. How is this number written in scientific notation? Okay, this was one on the review. I realized they didn't have a way for you to put the answer. I did put a scientific notation review video on modules on Canvas. So if you are watching this, you need a refresher on it, you can go back and watch that before your exam. With scientific notation, you only have one significant digit before a decimal. Significant would be like 2 in this situation, and then 4 is going to go behind it. With scientific notation, you always have those significant digits times 10 to some power. To determine the power has to do with the movements of the decimal place to get it here. So if I have to move this decimal here, I have to go backwards. 1, 2, 3. When I move backwards, that's a negative movement because this is a tiny number. So backwards, tiny movement, -3 because I moved it 3 times. If it was a number that was getting bigger, like I kept getting huge and huge and huge and huge, that would be a positive. But this is something that it's a tiny number. It's less than 1. It's going to be itty bitty. It's going to be a negative. Number 15, Amanda is shopping for clothing at a store. She can buy 3 shirts for X dollars a piece and 1 pair of socks for $7 for the same amount of money. She can buy 2 shirts for X dollars a piece and a pair of jeans for $18. Which equation could be used to find X, the cost of each shirt? So if she's buying 3 shirts for X dollars, that means I have to have a 3X somewhere. So 3X, 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 okay. Then she's going to and 1 pair of socks. So and 1 pair of socks, that means we're adding that to it. So if we're adding a pair of socks, which would be $7, so that would be plus 7. This one has a minus 7, so that eliminates it. Plus 7, minus 7, that eliminates it. That's going to be equivalent to buying 2 shirts for X dollars. So that would be my 2X, so 2X and 2X. And a pair of jeans. So we're adding a pair of jeans to that. So it'd be plus the $18, plus 18. One has minus 18, which is not correct. All right, next question. 16. An art festival has a admission charge of $4 per person. Which graph models the relationship with this same unit rate? Well, if I look here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1. Okay. So if it's $4 per person, that means $4 for each person. So I'm going to write this out in like a table. So if I had 1 person, it's going to be $4. If I have 2 people, then it's going to be 4 plus 4, which would be $8. If I have 3 people, it's going to be 4 plus 4 plus 4, because it's 4 for each person, or 4 times 3, which is 12. If I have 4 people, 4 times 4 is 16. If I have 5 people, 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm looking for something that shows the information just mentioned here. So when it's 1, I should show about 4. Well, if I look here, 1 shows it's more than 15. Nope. Over here, the 1 is not on a line that's parallel to any of these, so we're going to come back to this one. 1, it shows a little bit less than 5. That could be 4, so this one might work. And then this one, ooh, this one's got issues. This one is showing that's the same price no matter how many people. That's not correct. So it's between one of these two. So I'm going to check another point. 2, $8. If I look at my 2, it's showing less than 5. It's got to be 8. It's showing a dot that's right below the 5, so I know this one's not it. This one has 2, somewhere between 5 and 10. That might work. 3, in between there. 4. And then the one that would really cross is 5 and 20, which it does. It intersects with both of them. So this one's the correct answer choice. Option 3. Number 17. In a biology lab, one specimen jar starts with 5,000 organisms and decreased by 50 every hour. A second jar starts at 1,250 organisms and increases by 150 every hour. Which equation can be used to find H, the number of hours it will take for the number of organisms to be in the same in both jars? So this is kind of taking those equations and having them equal on both sides. So let's look at this situation. 5,000 organisms and decrease. That means it went down, so subtract. 50 every hour. There's where our x goes, because each hour, every hour, per hour. So it's 50x, or in this case, they're not wanting us to use x. They actually want us to use h. So I'm going to put my h here for the number of hours. So 50 times h, okay? We've got 50 times h with the 5,000 and subtracting, so this is good. This one's good. This one has us adding. Nope, we didn't say we're adding. We didn't say we're adding the 5,000 and the 50 times h. Okay. So now I look at the second part of the equation. A second jar starts with 1,250 organisms and increases. Increases means it's going up, so that's adding. 150 every hour. So there's my times h again. So this time it's 150 times h. So 150 times h, 150 times h. And the only difference between these two is one has you adding, one has you subtracting. We need it to increase, so it should be showing the adding. So it's the top. Number 18. The table below shows a linear relationship between x and y. What are the slope and y-intercept for the relationship? All right, so first one, I would find the slope first. If I look, it's not an easy way to find the y-intercept. I have seen people in the past also find the y-intercept doing this. They'll go, well, this is changing by 10. So my next one over here would be 20. And then I have 10. And then I would have my 0. If you see a pattern like that, you can use that. The top number is not changing at the same rate, though. 16, 12, 8. It's going down by 4, or it's changing by 4 every time. So if this is changing by 4 every time, if I go 4 more, see 4, 8 minus 4 is 4. Add 4 more, subtract 4 more. 4 minus 4 is 0. Ooh. And then if I did it again, that would be a negative. But right here, here's my y-intercept. When x is 0, what is y? Y is 10. So I can use that to help me eliminate some of this. I know it's got to be one of these two. Now I've got to find the slope. So change in y over the change in x. My y, like we were saying earlier, it's changing by 10. My x is changing by 4. So 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. Because I got to put my y on top and my x on bottom for slope. So the answer choice is the second one, because it's not 0.4. That would be if I had it flipped and reversed. I always need to remember to put your y on top for change in y over the change in x when finding slope. Okay, number 19 is bringing in some of those old, it was the first lesson on Edgenuity this year about rational numbers and their sets and subsets. So this one, you're looking for the statement. Which statement does not describe the relationship between the sets of real numbers? And if you look at each of these and compared, you'll see that like irrational numbers are subset of real numbers. That means irrationals fit inside of real numbers, and that's true. Okay. They do fit inside real numbers. Natural numbers are a subset of integers. So natural numbers, they are a subset of integers because they're inside the integer circle as well. Whole numbers and natural numbers are both subsets of rational numbers. Whole numbers and natural numbers right here are both inside the rational number circle, so that is true also. So then the last one we have is integers are a subset of whole numbers. So integers are not a subset of whole numbers, so this is the one that is false. This is the one that's not true. Does not describe the relationship between them. Number 20. Two numbers are shown on the number line. Which value is not located between these two numbers on the number line? So I would use my calculator to actually work this out and see which one is not between those two. So 15, I would put square root of 15, which is square root of 15. This is 2. This right here equals 2.87 and then some extra. But I'm just going to do it this way. The square root of 36 is 6. 5.83 is already that way. Pi, those who had me as a math teacher last year, you better not have forgotten what pi is. Pi is my birthday. 3.14. And then I want to see what these mean. So that's the square root of 47. So 47 square root. And then that divided by 2 equals, okay, this equals 3.42. And then 2 pi, so 2 times 3.14. This is 6.28, roughly estimated. We want to know which is not going to be between these two. So which one is not going to fit in between 3.42 and 6.28? Well, let's look. 5.83 is definitely going to fit in between here because 5 goes between 3 and 6. So that one will fit. Ooh, I see one that's kind of tricky. 36, 6 is going to go in between here. Let me check my square root of 15 because something tells me that one's not. Let's see, 15. I'm wondering if I hit the, oh, it's a 3.87. I knew I had that written wrong. So that's 3.87. 0.87 does go between 3.42 and 6.28. So it's not this one. That one does go in between. So 3.14, this is the one that's not going to go in there because it is actually smaller than 3.42. So it'll go on this side. It will not be between. All right. I know I said 20 questions, but when I did the review with the 8th graders the other day, I realized there were 21 questions on here. So there's one more question. The Garcia family is planning a road trip for vacation. They plan to drive at a rate of 55 miles per hour. Which graph has the slope that best represents this rate? So if it's 55 miles per hour, that means at 1 hour, you should have 55. So at 1 hour, 55. 2 hours would be double that. So 2 hours, you should have 110, which they have that on all of these tables. This one is, these are too small a numbers. 1 at 15, that's not even right because we want 55. This one, they have 1 and then they have 2. We're looking for the one where the 2 is equal to 110 because that's going to help us out. This one has 2 right here at 330. That's not correct. This one has its straight line again. That means that you're parked. You're not moving. You're staying the same distance the whole time. That's not correct. So option 2 is the best answer choice because if I look, 2 is right at 110, which is what we would have that would be equivalent to 55 miles in 1 hour. So this is the semester exam review. I wish y'all the best of luck. And I will see y'all later, and I hope you have a good one. Okay. Thank you, and goodbye.